So there are a lot of examples of 1Integrate working on a server-side environment through Data Gateway, example of it working through a web-based interface. There's another area that we had a lot of market demand and from organizations and individuals in terms of being able to get access and utilization of the rules engine through desktop tools that they know and very comfortable in terms of using. And so we embarked in a program to enable that to happen for users, and the first example of that is 1Integrate for ArcGIS. So let me talk a little bit about why we did 1Integrate or developed 1Integrate for ArcGIS. First and foremost, we have a strong relationship and strong partnership with Esri. We're a silver partner, and we have a relationship both with Esri Inc. over in the US, working with their development teams, but also a very close working relationship with Esri UK, and with the 1Spatial's development team being based in Cambridge in the UK. That's extremely beneficial. So because of that partnership, it made a lot of sense to look at taking 1Integrate and putting it within inside the Esri stack. The second part is really about the market demand. So if you look at the GIS marketplace as a whole, without doubt Esri is the dominant GIS application in that market space. And we have a lot of customers who were feeding back to us they have a desire to utilize the 1Integrate rules engine, but from within inside Esri applications, as they understand and know that interface extremely well. And in addition to that, a lot of customers were saying, well, they don't necessarily want the rules engine to be working in a batch mode server side. What they'd like to be able to do is, as they're making edits within inside their Esri environment, to be able to run the rules and continually check the data that's being created or indeed being edited. The third element that is worth raising, actually, that whilst we have produced 1Integrate for ArcGIS, 1Integrate is an open solution. So there is the possibility to integrate 1Integrate with other GIS applications that are out there. And as the market demands and requests that, so we'll look at it. But in the first instance, for the reasons that I've mentioned, we've actually created 1Integrate for ArcGIS. So let me explain a little bit more what 1Integrate for ArcGIS actually is. So for those of you who use Esri, the slide that you'll see in front of you is fairly standard. So you have the server-side technology, and then in the middle you have Portal controlling the users and enabling named users, and then you have your applications with this is effectively the interface into all of that, either being desktop, web, or indeed through mobile devices. Now, what we've done with regards to 1Integrate is we've actually put the 1Integrate rules engine itself on the server side, and then we have a series of widgets that sit on the application side, whether it be desktop, web, or indeed mobile. Now what that means is, in terms of those application sides, it provides a window into the rules engine itself. So you're able to select and indeed run that rules from the application side, and the way it works is it will call the rules on the server side, the data will be processed, and obviously the results be viewed within inside that application. So it really is taking 1Integrate and embedding it inside the Esri stack. So from an Esri user perspective, they get the benefit of still being able to utilize the Esri technology, but have access to the rules engine. So I'm going to hand over to Chris, and he's actually going to demonstrate that working in practice.
Thanks, Duncan. I'll just switch to Web App Builder now. What we have on the screen is an application built with Esri's Web App Builder. And up here in the top right hand corner you can see the 1Integrate widget that Duncan was talking about earlier. The data on the screen is a set of road networks. The black lines here are spatially accurate lines provided by the national mapping supplier. The red lines and red dots, these things here, is locally captured data which is very rich in attribution. Being rich in attribution, it's not necessarily as accurate as the black lines. And if I zoom into an area, you can see what I mean. You can see here that the node doesn't line up at the junction, and the red lines do not match the black lines. So what we want to do is to match this data together using a series of business rules. When we click on the 1Integrate widget, we can see that we have a set of validation rules and we have a set of enhancement actions. What I'm going to do initially is just perform some essential geometric checks on the data. So I toggle that on, and if I expand that set, you can see that we're checking for duplicate features, kickbacks, and so on and so forth, and spikes. and then I can process the extent of the data. So this data will process live in front of us. And you can see it's completed. We've processed 8,976 objects with 5 non-conformances, and they are marked here on the screen with the various different coloured pins. If we zoom in to one of the pins, and we'll zoom into this one down here, we'll see the type of error that we're looking at. So if I zoom in down here, what you can see is we've got a kickback in the data. So the line's been digitized up here, then back to here, and then along here. And also it doesn't line up with the spatially accurate data. So what we perhaps want to do is to run some actions now to tidy this data up. So we'll go to our Enhancement tab, and we will fix the geometric errors. We'll perform some data alignment. So that's going to build some topology and align the red lines and the red dots with the black lines and the junctions. And then we're going to create missing assets. So what we're going to do there is, where there are black lines and no red lines, we're going to create red lines with nodes, and also port across the attributes from the black lines as we have them. So I'll process that extent now. This actually takes slightly longer to process, as it's actually changing the data. So the processing is completed. So if I now refresh my screen by zooming in or zooming out, what you'll see is we've now got the red lines that have been captured where the black lines were, just here. And if I zoom in close to an area again, what you'll see is that the line work matches up. And you can see that the dot now lines up with the intersection, and the red lines now match the black lines. This is an example of how you can use the 1Integrate business rules engine embedded inside the Esri stack to do data conflation.